here. But, as you guys are not even clicking yet, I'm going to take a little time to warm up and hopefully get you guys in the mood to speak a little bit of English, because I'd like to keep focused in English so you guys could speak English, you know what I mean? Like literally every time that I speak Japanese, I always feel guilty that you're not learning any English because I'm talking too much Japanese, you know what I mean? And the whole goal of all of my videos and all of my time really is to get you guys to speak English more often, because I know that there's not a lot of chances for you to speak English, as I often hear from you. But I do have a question. I want to know, why don't you have more foreign friends? Are you afraid of making more foreign friends? What's going on? I want to know the situation. Obviously, I do speak Japanese and I do have quite a few friends that I've made over the years, but I want to know what your guys' situation is. Do you have friends right now? Why or why not? And especially why not? If you don't have any friends right now, I'd like to know what are you afraid of? What's preventing you from making friends? And this is a conversation, so please in the chat, let me know. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please in the chat, let me know, because I would like to know. Seriously, why? First of all, do you have English-speaking friends? Do you have foreign friends? I don't like using the word foreigner because when you speak in English, that's just way too general. Like seriously, 外国人っていうか外人に関して会話するとちょっとね、日本語で話すと外国人って全然言ってもいいと思うんだけど、本当に英語で喋ると、もう外国人って、どういうこと？だって俺アメリカだから外国人って言われたら何メキシコ人ですかっていう。ね。だから、何の話してるかっていう。だから、when I speak English, I'm gonna say, English speaking friends. How about that? So, why don't you have any English speaking friends right now? I would like to know, because I'm not in Japan right now, but as I look at the news and sometimes as I look at Airbnb trying to find a place, it seems that like there's a lot of English speaking people going to Japan for tourism. And it seems like there's a lot of English-speaking people. だって外国人言いたくないからさ、foreigner ってちょっと変な感じがするからさ。So there's a lot of English-speaking people going to Japan right now. So that means that there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of you to speak more English more often. Right? I mean, that's my assumption, but I want to know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling. Are you taking advantage of this situation? Like, I mean, man, 10 years ago, people were saying, 外人多くない? When I was in Tokyo, right? So I can imagine what it's like now, that I think literally they're counting, and there's more than ever right now. I would still say that there's probably for every 100 Japanese people, like in Tokyo or Osaka or any of the big cities, there's still like one English speaker, you know what I mean? So it's not like there's a lot of foreigners, so much that it's like, oh, we're like in America now or in England right now. But still, there are more English speakers in Japan right now. That means there's more opportunity for you guys to actually talk to people in English. So, are you talking in English more often? Yes or no? If you guys want to answer, did you guys get the question? Here, I'll type it out for you. Just make sure you guys know I am talking to you. Are you guys making friends with English speakers these days? There we go. And please let me know your answers. This is a chance for you guys to think a little bit in English. If we could do a chat, we could do the chat, but I would like a few different responses if you guys don't mind. And because there's a few different responses, I think it would be nice if you guys just chat it in or type it in. And don't be shy. This is like literally, an opportunity, even though it's not directly a conversation. I am talking to you. Literally, I'm talking to you. I assume that you're Japanese and I assume that you're learning English. Now, I just have a simple question. Are you, literally you, Are you talking English these days? Do you have an English speaking friend these days? What's going on? Let me know your situation. And if you don't mind, just give me a brief little answer, and that'd be cool. I'm gonna drink some water in the meantime while you guys think about it. And you get,まあ、日本語でも答えてもいいんですよね。大丈夫だよね。今の英語分かってますよね。外国人の友達が、まあ、いなかったら、なんでって感じ、何か怖いんですかね、何か、なんかアプローチできないんですか、なんか会う機会がないですかみたいなね。なんか、なんか言い訳って言いたくないけど、みんなの言い訳を聞きたいということですね。大丈夫ですかね。言い訳っていうか、まあ、see, I'm thinking in Japanese again. I've met a lot of people over my life, and I have a few strategies for meeting people. And so I do want to share those strategies with people. And I'm going to be doing a seminar this Sunday where I'm going to talk about how to make English speaking friends. I definitely have talked to a lot of people in my life, and because I've talked to a lot of people, I was able to become bilingual. So I really do believe the key for you to become bilingual is to talk to a lot of people. And by making friends, you get more opportunities to talk to a lot of people, you know what I mean? So I'm here to help you guys talk to a lot of people by making friends, but I need to know what you guys are thinking so that I can help you actually go out there and make some friends. So let's be honest. Let's not deceive ourselves. And let's just do a simple kind of like, how do you say, what's the word? A roll call, if you will. What do you call that when you kind of like double check the math or whatever? Just simply, how many, do you have friends right now that speak English that you meet in reality? Maybe you have some online friends, and that's cool too. But I really want to know what people are feeling, what troubles they have. I have one of my kohai lives very far in the how do you say, the hinaka, なんだっけ, countryside. So it's very hard to meet people that speak English because not a lot of people go out to the countryside in those cities. So it's like, okay, I understand the situation. So what are we going to do about it? Yes, that is a situation, but we can do something about it. Maybe you can do something online. Maybe you can do something, seasonally, like on vacation or something, to get more opportunities to speak English. But still, my goal is to help you kind of basically overcome your fears or your problems or your restrictions so that you have more opportunities to get out there and talk to people. You know what I mean? So again, if you guys have any fears, if you have any concerns, if you have any worries, if you have anything at all that's preventing you from actually getting out there and talking to people, I would like to know. And it's kind of embarrassing, maybe. I get it. Look, when I learned Japanese in Japan. Then I went back to America and I was like, oh man, I don't have any opportunities to speak Japanese. I'm back in California. もう日本語ペラペラになったんだけど、話す機会がないやん。キャリフォルニアに戻ってから。ね。どうしようと思ったのね。実家戻って、その地元のみんな、まあ、アメリカンズだからさ、日本語を話せる人が少なくて、本当にもうどうしようかなと思って、I came up with a solution. I got a job at a Japanese grocery store that was a little farther away, but I got a car, so I was able to get there. And at the Japanese grocery store, I was able to speak Japanese every day. Amazing, right? Like, even in America, in California, because I had this job, I met people who spoke Japanese. And they were always impressed. Well, 日本語すごいですね。上手ですね。関西弁ですね. And I was like, yeah, thanks so much. Well, what's going on? I remember I met a guy from Miyazaki, and he was in hardcore punk. And I was like, no way, that's crazy. Because, like, I'm in the hardcore punk too. Let's be buddies. So, yeah, like, the crazy things that happen when you just put yourself out there, you know what I mean? So anyway, I had the same problem that you guys have. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to speak, in the language that I wanted to speak in. Oh, Kea says, "Hello, what's up, Kea? Kea, do you have any English-speaking friends? I want to know. I want to know what's up. And also, don't be afraid to say what's up. You know what I mean? 特にだってこれチャットだからさ、全然書いてもいいよ。英語でね。what's up? How's it going? My favorite is howdy, by the way. ハローよりね、howdy. That's always a good one. The story of howdy is interesting. As far as I understand it, it's basically back in the cowboy days. The invading Americans, I mean, let's be honest, the Americans invaded America, right? And the local people, the Native Americans, didn't speak English, but they kind of like heard all the Americans talking all fast, right? And so it's like, how do you do is I think the greeting that the Americans would use, but the Native Americans didn't really understand all of it, so they just said howdy. That's the story I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but anyway, howdy is a nice little cute little way to say hi. So please use it. I use it all the time. Howdy. Not that I'm a cowboy, but I guess I do have cowboy roots, kind of, maybe, sort of. I think my ancestors more were farmers, to be honest. But I digress. I don't really know. I think that's one of the problems with Americans is they don't know. Marie says, hello, good evening, how do you do? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the live stream. As I've been explaining, I'm looking for people that are willing to share some of the fears they have about making friends, you know. I kind of have already heard a lot of everybody's stories through the years, you know what I mean? Like there's no opportunities is like one of the biggest things that I hear. So Kea, let's read this. I'm not confident in my English skills and I'm afraid of feeling alienated in conversations. Kea, thank you so much. And thank you for that word alienated, because I know the feeling. I remember when I went to like nomikai, and yeah, 日本でね. And like I was like the only English speaker there. まあ日本語できるんだけど, I still felt a little left out of the conversation, right? Because everybody was talking so fast. And they all seem to know each other, but I'm like the new person, right? And I know the feeling of just feeling alone, even though there's a lot of people with you, right? So yeah, that's a good, good because I think that anybody that's trying to, speak, the second language knows this feeling. Alienated. That's such a good feeling. I know it. I've been there. Trust me. But one of the things that this is kind of like, I don't want to make this like an excuse, but in the beginning, basically just let go. Okay, like everybody's having a conversation. You just sit back and just let go and just try to understand what everybody's talking about, right? But don't think too hard because, just let them have the conversation is the way I always looked at it. And you just kind of sit back like you're watching TV. It's almost like you're watching Netflix without subtitles. It's a little hard, but nonetheless, it's like in 3D and it's happening real time, right? So anytime they're not talking to you, just let go. Just enjoy the show. But when they talk to you, then okay, let's have a conversation. Let's try to communicate. And then the other thing, and this is super important, it's be honest. So when everybody's around you and they're having a conversation, blah, 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 and you don't really understand, it's cool, just let go. But then they turn to you and they say, hey, Kea, what do you think? Just be honest. Well, what do I think about what? What are you guys talking about? I didn't catch it. Be honest. What are you guys talking about? I didn't catch the subject. It's okay to be honest. And then once you say that, what are you guys talking about? And say it kind of like as if you already speak English. So what are you talking about? Like say it with an accent, right? What are you talking about? I didn't catch the subject, or I didn't catch what you guys were talking about. Say it just like that. I didn't catch what you guys were talking about. They, if they're nice, which I'm assuming they are, they'll be, oh, so I was telling Chad that like the best ramen was like in Tokyo, but since you're from Osaka, what do you think? Right? Something like that. They'll explain it to you, hopefully, in a way that you can understand it. And then you're like, cool, now I understand. And then you just try. I think that that's the cool thing about having friends is that they are forgiving. You know what I mean? They are a little more, how do you say, generous with their understanding, right? なるほど。wait, hold on. 自分を通じて、挑戦してつけること大事ですね。自分を信じて。まあね、and then here's the thing. When they're talking directly to you, like especially if there's a group, right? Because you said like feeling alienated in a group, that's when you feel alienated, right? One-on-one, then it's really just like, be honest, right? And then when you don't understand, just say, what? I don't get it. What are you talking about? Like literally, like, いつも俺分かんなかったら、どういうことですか？もう一回言って。っていうの。いつも。何挑戦って何？読めないよ、それ。まあ読めたよね。挑戦って書いてある？挑戦だよね。挑戦だよね。大丈夫？俺の日本語大丈夫ですか？ See, just be honest. And nobody, like, especially if they're friends, right? Nobody's gonna be, oh, that, they know that you're learning, It's okay. But the best thing to do is to be honest. All right. That's for sure. Yes, that's it. Just be honest. You got it. And the way to be honest is to literally say, I don't know. What are you talking about? Can you say that again? Right? So that's basically it. And just be honest. And yes, they're being kind, when they talk to you. But again, this is them being kind. And so when people do show kindness to you, just think of it as your karma to return the kindness someday, somehow, to somebody out there. And look, in all honesty, guys, I learned Japanese by being an exchange student in 舞鶴東舞鶴高等学校に留学して a lot of people were very patient with me. A lot of people. I talked to a lot of people. And I remember feeling alienated a lot of times. There was a time when I remember at the beginning of this school year, a lot of people wanted to talk to me. And during lunch, it felt like every day I was having lunch with a new group of people. And eventually, though, I stopped getting invited to lunch because everybody kind of realized that I don't speak Japanese yet and they don't speak English. So there was an excitement to meet me. Everybody wanted to meet me. But after like the first few weeks, people kind of got, okay, well, I don't speak English. And then こいつはまだ日本語できないから、あんまり会話になんないから、まあいいかって感じだったよね。So I started eating lunch by myself because nobody would invite me to eat lunch because I couldn't speak Japanese. I get it. There's a whole irony, right? I want to speak Japanese, but nobody will talk to me because I don't speak Japanese. そうだね。英語で喋りたいんだけど、まあ話してくれる人がいない。I get it. That's why somewhere, somehow, the tire has got to meet the road. You know what I mean? Like the rubber hits the road. Somewhere, someday, you actually have to have a conversation with somebody that's talking normally to you, all right? And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now and talking normally so that you guys get used to what it sounds like when people talk normally, right? I made the video about the 外国人の YouTuber のね、教え方に関してちょっと動画作ったんじゃないですか。I really think this is important to talk normally. And I don't know if people really realize that when I do the YouTube videos, I am kind of like making a weird like Japanese voice. It's not my normal speaking voice, if you know what I mean. I still think that people don't get that, but whatever. It's YouTube, it's entertainment, right? But yeah, when I look at other teachers who are talking like really slowly to everybody, and every word they say is like one at a time, that is very annoying to me as a native English speaker because I do not like listening to English that sounds like this. Do you understand what I am saying? You probably do because I am talking so slow. But what I want to do is introduce you to like what we're actually saying in reality because nobody talks like that. And I think I made that clear in my video, but you know, a lot of people, why are you hating? I'm like, guys, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm really not. I'm just teaching English. And when, 300 million people, talk like this way, I want you guys to join the conversation. You know what I mean? And yeah, a lot of people be like, oh, you just like American English. And it's like, yeah, well, no. California English, first of all. Two, it's the only English I know. I don't know British English and I don't know Australian English, right? So I can only teach you what I know, right? And three, when I do meet Australians, I don't understand what they're saying 20% of the time. When I meet New Zealand people, I don't understand what they're saying 30 to 40% of the time. When I meet British people, it depends on what part of Britain they're from. Like Scottish people, I swear to God, there was one Scottish person I met once. I did not understand 90% of what he was saying. And he said he was speaking English. That's what he said. And I was like, bullshit, dude. This is not English. You're speaking some sort of dialect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, this isn't what I'm used to. And it's nobody's fault in the sense that, like, it's not like there's an official English, right? It's just that there is no official English. The only way to really learn all of the Englishes is to like literally learn all of the Englishes. Most people don't do that. They just learn one. And so I advocate and I suggest that you guys just learn one. That's all you got to do. And I suggest you learn the one that is most useful to you in reality. So, for example, when I was living in Maizuru, I learned Maizuru-ben, Kansai-ben. I focused on that more than Tokyo-ben, 標準語 ね. And when I started focusing on Maizuru-ben, everybody got happy. Everybody was so like, わ、すごい! Maizuru-ben! Kansai-ben! And I was like, hey, well, monkey see, monkey do, right? It's not that hard once I figured it out. It's not like anybody told me about Kansai Ben. Oh man, that's a whole other story. I'll talk about it in my seminar. So again, a lot of what I'm saying is I'm hopefully going to say this all in the seminar so that you guys really, really get it. But accent is super important. Mimicking what you hear is super important. And then talking normal is super important. And so, like I said to Kea, when you feel like you don't understand, like I said, first be honest, but then two, just say, what do you mean? Say it like an American, or, if you are with British people or Australian people, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't know how to do a British accent, so I'm sorry, but because seriously, there's Birmingham and there's Liverpool, I think there's London, and don't forget Scotland, and then Ireland as well. It's all different, So I could do some sort of fake, accent that's just lame, but if you're literally talking to British people, you would do something like that. Like, what you talking about? What do you mean? I don't know their accent, but you have a better clue to their accent than I do because you're literally talking to them. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a big, man, I wish I can. It's like literally right in front of your face, and all you got to do is mimic it. All you got to do is listen and then just kind of repeat after what you just heard, right? So your whole how do you say, goal is just to kind of like merge with the sounds that you're hearing. All you got to do is just line yourself up with what is actually happening right in front of you. And I say this all the time, but like you could read 1,000 books for 1,000 years. Your first lesson starts when you actually talk to a real person that's basically not your teacher. That's like the first lesson. Your teachers are paid to kind of like be nice to you and talk slowly to you. But the real lesson is the day you actually go into reality somewhere and actually have a conversation. Like, I like to think of learning English is it's kind of like basketball. Like, you want to play basketball so you can read a book about basketball, but man, that book, like, it better be short because everybody wants to play basketball. You don't want to read a book on basketball, right? Same way with English, right? You want to speak English, right? You don't want to read books on English. You want to actually get out there and use English, right? So reading a book, yeah, for like certain rules and stuff. Like if I was learning basketball, okay, let me learn the rules of the game, right? So maybe you read a book, but that's like done. As soon as you read the book once, you're done. Then you get out into the gym, get a ball, go to the park, whatever, and you start actually just shooting the ball, right? And then once you start shooting the ball, maybe a coach comes up to you and says, okay, so when you do this, right, or this, you should work on putting your elbow here and your wrist like this, and you should work on this, your release, right? You should work on the release. And so then you start learning about fundamentals and like how to dribble the ball without looking, for example, like that. And so then you start doing all these things by yourself in a gym when there's nobody around, and you really start practicing all for the day in preparation. Well, when you play a game, and then all of that preparation goes into playing a game just to realize that you don't know anything yet until you actually play the game. And then the game starts teaching you. That's right. English is exactly the same. Is that you can read 1,000 books and have 1,000 teachers and take 1,000 years. But the first day you actually get out there and talk to somebody, that's actually your first lesson. So you might as well get it over with. You know what I mean? You might as well just do it as soon as possible because there is nothing in any book that's ever going to teach you how to speak English. The only thing that's going to teach you how to speak English is literally experiencing a conversation with somebody in reality. And I could probably talk about AI a little bit here, but man, it just feels like a lot of people are avoiding conversations. It's like you're avoiding meeting people. And I get it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you wanted to speak English, so why aren't you speaking English kind of thing, right? But this is why we're having this conversation right now, because what are you feeling? I really do think that if you want to speak English, you got to get out there and speak English. And obviously, you could just fly to America, you could just fly to Australia, and there's a ton of English speakers, right? But if you can't do that, apparently, I mean, it's 2024, right? There's a ton of foreigners in Japan right now. So that means the chance to speak English is just increasing. This is your opportunity to talk English. So go out there, make a friend. Seriously. Because, I mean, Jesus, it's like on Instagram, you know, you have like followers, right? And you can follow other people and you can just follow random people, right? Or you can meet somebody at some cafe or at some museum and then like, hey, what's your Instagram? And then you can stay in touch, you know, and have a casual friend. There's nothing wrong with making connections with people, making acquaintances with people. You know, you do it in your own culture. You know, you hand out business cards and stuff like that. But let's just expand that, get out there and start meeting more English speakers because it is nothing but net positive to expand your network. And man, I could talk years about this one, but seriously, like if you think of your network is defined by the language you speak, well, your network is only going to be this big if you speak only Japanese, right? So if you want to really get out and see the world, make friends, have new business opportunities, for example, or just any life experience at all, speaking English opens up your network. And by having a network, you now have new opportunities. You know, like I met a guy, okay, so I was in Kyoto and I was at Starbucks just working on my video. And next to me was a foreigner and his wife and his kid. I mean, it looked like a family, right? But then, I overheard them. I kind of read the air. ちょっと空気を読んで、なんかスペイン語で喋ってますね。Because like I speak English and what they're speaking is not English. They must be some sort of Spanish people, Mexican or Spain. I don't know the accents well enough, but I know that they're speaking Spanish. So anyway, finally, I just talked to him because I know a little Spanish. And I swear to God, this guy was so happy that I even tried a little bit to speak Spanish. And I was like super apologetic. I was like, lo siento, pero mi español es muy malo. I was like, 俺のスペイン語が下手だよ。ごめん、ごめん。って言っても彼が喜んでって、いやいやいや、いいよ、いいよ。もう仲間やからいいよ。Like, he was saying just the craziest things, all in Spanish. And I didn't understand 80% of what he said. But he said, anytime you come to Spain, anytime you come to this city, I'm at this restaurant. This is where I work. This is where my restaurant is. You come in, I'm going to remember you. And so talking about expanding your network, I maybe know one person in Spain up till now. Now I know two, if that makes any sense. I have just expanded my network that I could literally now go to Spain and be like, oh, I actually know somebody in Spain and I can hit them up if I want to. That is the power of just talking to somebody in another language if you have the opportunity. And so getting out there and making the opportunity is the key. So if you guys want to learn how to make foreign friends, English-speaking friends, this Sunday, I'm going to be doing a seminar. So if you guys want to, I think I'm only inviting really people that downloaded my app, to be honest. So if you guys are coming from the app, hey guys, thanks for stopping by. But I will, because you guys are cool, if you're hanging out here on the live stream, I will invite you to the seminar. I'm going to do the seminar in Japanese, hopefully, because I really want everybody to understand what I'm saying. And I really want you guys to get out there and make friends. A lot of people are like, hey, I want to learn English and stuff. But if you dig deep, the real issue isn't about English. It's about making friends. It's about making connections. And that's the most important thing that we're trying to do, I think. So if you guys are serious about meeting people in English and really making friends, go ahead and sign up for the seminar. It's going to be this Sunday at 11. You'll see the information there. And it will be live, okay? I basically have the lesson in my head. I already have one thing, there's always 3 steps, guys. If you know me, there's always 3 steps because 3 steps is the easiest thing to remember. You don't want to give too much information. And I'm trying to simplify everything into a simple 3-step action plan so that anybody knows what to do at any time and knows how to get out there and actually speak English to somebody without feeling alienated, without feeling embarrassed, okay? Because it's super important to have confidence just to get out there, open your mouth, say anything. Another thing, though, is be prepared to fail. I had many opportunities to talk to somebody in Japanese when I was in Japan, and I failed a lot of times. Did not communicate what I wanted to communicate, felt embarrassed because I just couldn't really speak Japanese yet. But man, you have to fail. And that's just one of the unfortunate truths about learning a language is you're going to make mistakes, okay? It's going to happen. Everybody does it. And it's okay, actually. That's the other thing people say. Like, you're just nitpicking people's mistakes. I'm like, yeah, I am. Because it's those mistakes that lead to confusion. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard pronunciation that's like, wait, what? What did you say? Because that sounded weird. I can think of one thing that's really embarrassing. But there's one of the simplest things is, can I shit here? Right? It's like, okay, do you know what you just said? Because anybody that speaks English just knows that you just said, can I shit here? So if you say that, people will literally hear you just said, can I shit here? Now, if you're not aware of what you just said, you don't even know that you said something embarrassing, right? So there is like a certain ignorance is bliss kind of thing. But honestly, again, if speaking English is like basketball and you see somebody that keeps breaking the rules because they're like traveling or double dribbling or whatever, you need to tell them. Somebody, like a coach, is better than a referee, because if you do it in the middle of the game, the referee is like, hey, that's a foul, or you broke the rules, right? So a coach comes along before you actually get into the game and says, hey, you got to work on that. Because if you do that in a conversation, people are going to be confused. Okay? So that's why in the context of doing YouTube videos, I nitpick. Now, in reality, when I meet people, I don't really nitpick unless, we have a really good relationship or you really are saying, can I shit here? Just to let you know. This is why pronunciation is important, and I will explain, because I feel like I'm a coach for a lot of people that want to become bilingual. I, just like you, wanted to become bilingual, and I became bilingual. 違うか? And so it's like either you're bilingual or you're not. It's very simple. And if you're not, well, there's certain things you can do to become bilingual, because anybody can do it. Japanese people, Korean people, Vietnamese people, Norwegian people, English people, anybody can become bilingual. It's not actually a mystery, and it's not actually hard. You just have to do it. That's the thing. You have to do the right thing. And so a lot of people are like, okay, so what book do I read? What class do I go to? It's like, no. That's literally why you don't speak English yet, is because you're literally doing the wrong thing. You literally got to get out there and talk to people. That's the lesson that's actually going to teach you how to become bilingual, is like getting out there and actually doing the thing that you said that you wanted to do. And I know it's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And trust me, I've been traveling for the last 2 years, right? Was in Mexico for a little bit, and I was like, man, I speak Spanish, I can do this. And when I was in Mexico City, I was just like, I cannot speak Spanish. I went to Vietnam, and I was like, fuck this. This is like, I'm not going to learn this language. Xin chào, come on. I can't even remember. It's like, okay. And then Korean, like, 감사합니다. 무슨 말인지 하나도 몰라요. That's just me working on my accent, because once you work on your accent, it sounds like you speak the language, right? And that's good enough. You just got to fake it until you make it kind of thing. And that's kind of what I teach, is that you just work on your accent with what you know, with the few phrases that you do know, use them, get good at them. And as you actually start talking to people, you're going to learn that you need to learn more. You're going to come into opportunities where you're like, oh, every single time that I do not understand something, that is literally a lesson. And it's the only lesson that I need to learn. That's why I hate textbooks, because they'll give you like 100 chapters of just meaningless bullshit. You know, like, oh, chapter 27, the stock market. Fuck that. Like, unless you're into stocks, all right? But like, if you can't even order a coffee, go to a cafe and say, can I shit here? You shouldn't be worried about stocks. You should be worried about, can you sit here or not? You know, like, focus on the opportunities literally in front of your face. And so this is why I bring it back full circle, is there's a lot of tourists in Japan right now. That means there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to get out there and actually talk to people. But are you actually helping these visitors? And I guarantee you, the kindness of the people of Maizuru is the only reason that I speak Japanese. So get out there and be kind to the foreigners coming to your town, to your neighborhood. Get out there, see if they need any help. It's not hard, especially if they look like a tourist. It's, you know, they got like a backpack and they got a map, you know, everybody's seen the NHK special, you know, like, oh, I'm going to go help the tourists. But do it. If you see it, it's like, oh my God, this is literally like an NHK drama. Go up there and see what's up. Talk. They might actually need your help. Maybe they need a recommendation for a good restaurant or something like that. Maybe they don't know about this cool little temple that you know about. You know what I mean? Get out there, help somebody, and then see what happens. You know, like, I can't give you the full script. I don't know what the Canadian's going to say to you. I don't know what the British person's going to say to you. I don't know what somebody from Singapore will say to you. You know what I mean? There's so many foreigners, because I've seen a lot of, Asian foreigners in Japan, like, you know, people from Hong Kong, people from Taiwan, people from Malaysia, right? But, you know, even when I was in Vietnam, I saw that, like, Koreans were speaking English to the Vietnamese people, right? So English is pretty international, right? We all agree on that, right? All right. So now, of course, 外国人の友達を作ってきてしまいました。What's that? 外国人を作る上で来てみました。海外生活あります。Yeah. So, yeah, basically, if you're just arriving to the show, I'm looking for like reasons why you feel afraid to talk to well, 外国人、英語話せる人, whatever you want to say. Because again, in English, we don't really say foreigners. It really is not a good term, because it's inaccurate. You know what I mean? Like, if I say foreigners from my, oh, good, you're not afraid. Good. So basically the question is like, are you getting out there? Are you talking to people in English? Because that's the question. My understanding is that Japan has a lot of English speakers visiting right now, a lot of tourists, right? And so my thinking is, wow, there should be a lot of opportunities for a lot of you to get out there and actually talk to people, right? So, but is there anything preventing you from talking to people? Are you afraid? Are you scared? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Are you unable to talk to somebody for any reason at all? You know what I mean? Because like, if I see, well, I made a whole video series when I was like, how many sounds does the letter A make? And I was walking around Kyoto. I was talking to everybody. No problem. I think it's a little easier when you're a YouTuber. You know, it's like, hey, you guys want to be in a video? And they're like, yes, no, whatever. And if people say no, which people did, you're like, okay, cool. Like, I had a really cool question I was going to ask you. But I remember once I asked a family, because like kids are just kind of like, learning English too, if you think about it. But there's this like, maybe it was like British family, I forget. But I was like, hey guys, you want to be in a video? And like the kids are like, yeah, like YouTube, I want to be in a YouTube video. And the parents are like, no, kind of like all like, meh. And I was like, okay, like no biggie. You don't want to be in a video, totally cool. But then I said, well, hey kids, I'll ask you the question anyway. I'm not filming anything. I just wanted to ask a question, okay? How many sounds does the letter A make? And the kids are like, two. They're all excited to answer it or whatever. So we had the conversation anyway. Now, if I was practicing English, I probably got so much experience doing that, right? But I'm not practicing English. I'm out there making videos for you guys so that you can actually see some interaction and what it's like to go out and meet new people. I digress, because to me, it's not hard to meet people if I have a genuine purpose and a genuine reason to do so. So I guess basically this all comes back full circle. What is your purpose? What is your reason to speak English? And once you really understand what your reason and your purpose to speak English is, well, then you have a path forward. You have a reason, you have a goal, you have a mission. You know what I mean? And at first, it's like, well, I just want to speak English, right? I just want to, in my case, I just want to speak Japanese. But like, who am I going to talk to? Why am I going to talk to them? Like, what's the point? What's the big deal, right? And so, yeah, what's the goal, right? And so, I would say that when I was an exchange student, I was like, okay, I don't even know why I want to speak Japanese, but I want to. Does that make sense? 目標っていうか、もうとりあえず日本語で喋りたい。目標なくても、とりあえずバイリンガルになりたい、喋れるようになりたいっていう目標があって、それでも、じゃあなんで話すわけあんの？まあ、to like anybody, right? So I was like, well, no, I don't know. I was still young, right? But I would say that when I was in college, I started studying photography. And I worked at a art college, and there was a lot of Japanese people at the art college. Well, guess what? I'm still friends with a lot of them. And yeah, we talked about photography, We went out and took pictures together. We talked about developing film. We talked about printing black and white photos. And my buddy Shimamoto Joji, throwing a name dropping, but he's a photographer and he's out doing a book tour right now. I follow him on Instagram still. I saw him a few months ago. Anyway, we talk photography, and he's living the life. He's a skateboard photographer, and yeah, like it kind of feel like I didn't have a goal, but then once I started like focusing on photography, all of a sudden I was able to make friends a lot more easier. You know what I mean? So, you're afraid, obviously. Obviously, I'm afraid. Yeah, maybe not afraid, right? So I had I guess my goal or excuse or whatever when I started studying photography. Now that I had photography, now I had a reason to speak Japanese to like the Japanese students, right? Because we talked about photography. And then, after college, I moved to Japan. Long story short, I became a fashion model. I don't know if people know this, but I was a fashion model for a long time in Tokyo. And it felt like I really had a purpose now to speak Japanese, because by speaking Japanese, I was able to make connections with photographers, models, magazine people, I remember I was on the cover of like Go Out magazine, and I was talking to like the producer of the magazine. I met directors, I met casting agents, I met Yamapi, I met Aiba-san. I met a lot of people, and Japanese all of a sudden became the medium in which I was able to talk to people, right? So I had a purpose, I had a goal, I had a mission, and it all kind of started more or less from photography if you really think about it. So anyway, long story short, what's your guys' goal? What's your mission? Because that would really help in you getting out there and talking to people. And it makes it way more easy than just talking to some random person. It should be a station. You know what I mean? Like having a clear purpose for why you want to speak English makes it so much more easier to meet people and like have a meaningful conversation. So anyway, I digress. So excuse. Yeah, is there any excuse for not meeting people? Is there any excuse for not growing your network? Like by speaking English, you meet new people, you get out there and you have opportunities, like just think of it like, if you're already on Instagram and you're like meeting people online, right? It's just like, okay, let's take this mentality of meeting people, but let's do it in reality, right? How do we meet people in reality, right? So anyway, what's going on here? Aeba-san. Why do you know his name? Who's that? Aeba? Aeba-san? どういうことですか？Aeba? なんかダジャレですか？わかんない。好きな日本のミュージシャンは誰ですか？ミュージシャンパフィーまあ、奥田民生ですね。だから最近はあまり音楽聴いてないね。Japanese music. If I haven't even been listening to like American music or British music or Australian music, to be honest, these days, I'm kind of like focused on my content creation, if that makes any sense. Once you become a content creator, it kind of really becomes this like puzzle, this overwhelming, like, man, there's a lot to do. I got to think of headline, thumbnail, and then I got to like make this like 20-minute video, right? That's a lot of whew, energy to create, And I look at other YouTubers too. So long story short, the music, I used to really be into music, but these days I'm just not into music as much because I'm busy making videos that hopefully are, useful for you guys, I do like entertainment like anybody else, but I guess at the end of the day, I don't really want to be an entertainer. I'd actually like to help people. And I guess this is just kind of like karma because again, a lot of people were nice to me when I was an exchange student. And when I was an exchange student, I was kind of an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. People were kind and patient with me anyway. And, by the time I could speak Japanese, it was kind of like too late to pay them back directly. All the people, that I remember one teacher, he, instead of instead of like class, we would go on walks together. And I just remember he taught me the word kaki. He looked at a tree and he's like, do you know what that is? I'm like, never seen it before in my life. What is that? And he's like, it's a Japanese persimmon. I'm like, what's a persimmon? I didn't even know what a persimmon was because California doesn't have persimmons. Anyway, kaki, persimmon. I just remember him. He was such a nice guy. And I remember he said, be a bridge. And little things like that. I haven't talked to him ever. This was before the internet, right? He's probably passed away. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But still, so many people were so kind to me. The only thing I think I can do morally, is like, kaki. そうですね。persimmon, kaki. 秋のあれだね、果物だね。まあ種が入ってるから果物だね。果物。Anyway, I digress. So, all the nice people in my life that taught me stuff. This is kind of like why I feel like I can't just entertain people. I actually got to help people achieve their dreams, because it was my dream to speak Japanese. It was my dream to live in Japan. It was my dream to become bilingual. And a lot of people helped me become that. And then what do you do after that? Well, then I kind of want to become like a model and stuff like that, do some entertainment. And I have no problem with doing entertainment, but there's so much more satisfaction, I guess, when I help people kind of like wake up, if that makes any sense. When I help people actually learn something, when I help people realize something, there is kind of like a selfish satisfaction for me. Because so many people say, oh, I want to speak English. And it's like, well, why don't you? Like, well, and they list a bunch of reasons why they can't speak English. And it's like, well, it's actually much more simple than that, guys. It takes a lot of time, don't get me wrong. There's no magic pill, there's no magic lesson, there's no magic book, and there's no magic teacher. Really, the only thing that's going to teach you English is the next 1,000 people that you talk to. That's it. So, how many languages do I speak? 2, plus kind of Spanish. And mi español es muy malo y no tengo el tiempo para practicar. And I say that over and over again, but I really feel it, even like right now I'm in Korea. Last month I was in Vietnam, and I'm realizing that I can't do it. I can't learn. One, I don't want to, but 2, I just can't, because I know the amount of time it takes to actually learn a language is really intense in the beginning. In the beginning, 4-6 weeks, there's a lot of time that goes into just basics, and there's a lot of forgetting that happens, and there's a lot of repetition that happens. And it would be like Korean, like I'm in Korea for a month, then I go to Vietnam for a month. That's just like, okay, just as you're getting used to that language, you leave, right? And I was like, I don't want to invest time. Sorry, satisfaction. Yeah. So anyway, I digress. Hopefully these stories are inspiring you guys. Hopefully this kind of natural English that I'm sharing with you guys is teaching you something. But yeah, I'm going to be doing the seminar this Sunday. So if you guys want to get out there and see the seminar and learn a few things about meeting people, then I will share it again just with you guys. I'm saving this seminar for people that downloaded my app. To be honest, actually, you know what? Screw it. You guys should be downloading my app. If you haven't downloaded my app, then you should. And I'm going to share the link to my app. You want to know why? Because my app is awesome, and the color system is freaking awesome, and everybody should learn the kara furigana ne. And I really, 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 so really think that everybody on the planet should be using it. And it's just a matter of just one person at a time, and you can be the next person to download it. Like 6,000 people have downloaded the app so far. You can be 6,001. Mickey's Piano from America. Wow, that is a very clear title. You're doing good with your marketing. Hey, Mickey. Do you sell pianos, or do you fix pianos, or do you play piano? Just one more step, but still cool. Thanks for saying hi. Welcome to the thing. Mickey, do you have any questions about making friends in America, English speaking friends? I was focusing more on, people living in Japan because of all of the tourists that are visiting Japan these days, and there's more opportunity than ever to speak English all day long if you really think about it. But, I digress. Anyway, Mickey, if you got any issues, just play piano. Nice. Oh, there you go. And then you make videos playing piano. Cool. Do you just play? Do you sing? Because, throwing in a little English, I don't know. It's but then again, music is kind of like an international language if you think about it, because anybody from any culture can listen to beautiful sounds. You were in America for a while. Gotcha. But yeah, your title makes it sound like you're still in America. So anyway, my bad. For like 2 years, cool. Yeah, now it's time to update your title to something. Yeah, yeah. But then again, from America, like I like to say I'm from Maizuru, but nobody believes me. あなたが日本好きの何よ、それ読めないよね。私もあなたが好きです。That's a translation. Yeah, it seems kind of translated, right? No, but I can't read that middle kanji. So anyway, so yeah, if you're not in America now, then it's just a matter of getting out there and meeting people in. Oh wow, Kaito, I play guitar too, and we can all do like a jam session. You know what I mean? But then again, doing a jam session online is kind of like weird. I don't really like it. That's why I lived in Shimokitazawa. To be honest, guys. I played guitar. I still play guitar. I can play guitar, although my guitars are in a garage right now. But yeah, when I lived in Shimokitazawa, I was playing at live houses. I was playing shows. I formed a band. I did improvisational music with some dudes. Yeah, it was kind of fun, and it was really interesting. And but I just realized that I didn't know anything about marketing, and it kind of got hard to like do music and have a job. You know what I mean? But yeah, music is a beautiful language, if you know what I mean. You don't need to know Japanese or English to play notes and stuff and have people enjoy it, right? So entertainment is valuable. Not gonna lie. Did you guys know that all the top YouTubers in the world, basically half of them are like musicians? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like the biggest YouTubers in the world are basically just musicians making music videos. So I was kind of thinking about it. Maybe I could become a musician again, right? But, to make a song, be like I gotta like make a beat, right? I can play a song if I got some beat. And then you gotta like make it and sound it and record it and stuff like that. And it's just kind of sounds like you gotta like laugh and clap and do like that. Do this, that, in the back, in the gap, in the bit. And that's how it starts, right? You get a beat going and then you just throw something above it. But anyway, yeah, making music is kind of a cool thing to do, right? I remember, man, I was in Hollywood and me and my neighbors were hanging out and somebody brought a big, I don't even know what you call it. It was like a thing that kind of sounds like it's from Jamaica, and like he was just like I was like, oh well, I was playing guitar, he was playing the thing. We had this amazing jam session and it was just so fun. My other buddy was on guitar, so well, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it'd be fun to play music, I'm not gonna lie. But again, being of use to people, being helpful to people kind of is like my bigger calling than just like, I don't know, wasting people's time. I like to be efficient with my time. I like to like really, again, yeah, be helpful. I mean, there's no other way to put it, because like I get it. A lot of people like music in the background and stuff, but like, and yeah, if you want to be a big YouTuber, doing music is really a good way to do it, right? So if you guys are living in Tokyo and speakers, that's easy to find English speakers. That's what I say. Anybody living in Tokyo really has no excuse for like meeting people, because there's a ton of foreigners living in Tokyo. Yeah, exactly. Find places you can meet up, like pub, bar, cafe, etc. I mean, they're literally everywhere. If you really go to the big neighborhoods, like Shibuya, obviously, Shinjuku, obviously, but even Shimokitazawa, like ton of foreigners everywhere. They're everywhere, they're everywhere, and they're everywhere. So it's just really a matter of like who's going to talk to who. And then it becomes an issue of being somebody interesting yourself. So like if you had, let's say, a Tame Impala shirt on, well, even let's just say a Metallica shirt, just for shits and giggles, I would be more inclined to talk to you if you wore that rather than like a Uniqlo shirt, right? So I know you like music, and if I see that you have a guitar, and then if I see you have a Gibson guitar, I'm going to be more inclined to talk to you because I have two Gibson guitars, to be honest. So then we have something to bond over, right? So becoming somebody interesting is also one of the, how do you say, key kind of like journeys in this whole like, oh, I want to speak English, right? Well, yeah, okay. Well, we need to have a reason to talk to each other. So what value do you bring to the conversation? And well, I play guitar. Well, okay, let's talk because like I'm a musician too, right? So it's really important to find people that have similar interests as you. And I'm going to talk more about that on Sunday, to be honest, because that's part of the secret. It's not just like randomly talking to people on the street, but it's going to strategic places like cafes and stuff like that, live houses. And I'll talk all about that on Sunday. So you really don't have any excuse, especially if you live in Tokyo, especially if you live in Osaka, and even if you live in Kyoto or some of the other kind of like small big cities. There's probably an opportunity to get out there and meet somebody if you just get out there and do some research. But, people living in the countryside, that's the only people that I worry about a little more. But anyway, guys, I read English a lot faster than Japanese. So if you write in English, I'm going to answer that quicker. I prefer talking with Americans because they're so friendly. Oh my gosh. And they don't hesitate to talk. People don't know well. They love having small talk everywhere. That's cool to know. I honestly am sick of Americans. Only in the sense that like I think that like hearing like a British accent or an Australian accent's a little more interesting to me. That's just me personally. But yeah, if you enjoy talking to Americans, do it because like do it. But like seriously, like when I travel, like when I was in Vietnam, I didn't hear American accents so often. I heard more Australian accents or British accents. So it's like, oh, what's this? What's going on over there? Not used to that accent. It's more intriguing. It's more interesting, if you know what I mean. So, あなたが日本でなんとかって生活ができてるよ。安心です。これから日本から信してくださいね。I'm gonna try to go to Japan next month. But right now, as a YouTuber, like this is kind of like how I make a living with YouTube. And I enjoy that freedom so much, that it's hard to get a visa to live in Japan without getting a job. So if I get a job, then I can get a visa. But if I get a job, that means I won't have enough time to make YouTube videos. And to be honest, I'd rather make YouTube videos because it's fun and I like it and I think it's interesting and it's more flexible too. I think more than anything, the freedom is what I value. Like right now, like I'm just babbling on to you guys and you're listening and I think it's cool. It's been like an hour. I'm not actually counting the time, to be honest. I had an intention that I was only going to do this for 30 minutes, but like you guys are still participating. So I'm going to keep talking because like, I don't know, I can do this with my eyes closed. Seriously, like I could probably talk all day and not even blink or bat an eye or like sweat. Well, it's getting a little hot in here, but like as long as you guys are listening and like actually finding this useful, then I can keep going. So, but yeah, I would rather be a YouTuber than get a job and like try to get a visa. So what that means is it's harder to get in an apartment in Japan because, oh my God, 敷金礼金ね、大嫌いですね。Like in America, to get an apartment, you basically have first month's rent, last month's rent, basically. From most places. But if you want to live in Tokyo, you need 敷金礼金って感じ. And so everything that I'm looking up is like if you want like a 3-month kind of thing or even a 1 month, right? So 1 month, they're like, okay, 1ヶ月、1万、10万ぐらい、家賃13万とかね。Then, okay, yeah, that's doable, no problem. でも、まあその敷金、礼金みたいな感じでもう30万とか。ね。Like, wait, what? For 1 month? 30万円? I could live in Vietnam for half a year. まあね、探せばあるよね. And so that's just the other problem is I'm kind of picky, especially with Tokyo. Like I know where I want to live and I know where I don't want to live, and so I can see, like you say Kawasaki or Yokohama, 埼玉の方ね、まあいろいろあるんだけど、I'm kind of picky. I want to live in a nice neighborhood. So anyway, let's just say it's more of a hassle. To just go to Tokyo for a month or 3 months if I don't have a visa. So anyway, but I'm going to try to visit next month. So hopefully I can do a little more meet and greets with everybody. So yeah. All right. So much English. So my personal question is to you, are you traveling around Asia? So how do you make local friends? And if Japanese are less confident about speaking, what is the first step of that kind of people? So, well, first, yeah, I'm traveling around. Like I'm in Korea. I was in Vietnam. Last year I went to Thailand, and making local friends I found was, how do you say? I'm not going to say hard because it's not hard. I was just, how do you say? More concerned with just kind of work, because making videos, maybe it seems easy to you guys, and maybe it is in one aspect, because it's like for me to hear an accent and to explain what I do in the videos, right? It's not that hard, but it takes a lot of time. Like a lot of time. And so basically, I just didn't find myself with the time to really go out too much, but I just kind of went with the flow. And I remember in Thailand, I met quite a few people just on the street, just kind of, I don't know, it's not hard, you know what I mean? If you have the time, it's just really easy to go out and basically meet people just by literally going out, right? But I remember at the time, especially when I was in Thailand and Vietnam last year for sure, like one issue that I remember running into in Vietnam is I got this cool place. I mean, it was super cheap. It was like $500 a month with breakfast included on the beach, right? Like amazing, right? The problem was it was kind of far away from the city, like the main part of the city. So it was harder to meet people that spoke English because all the tourists were on that side of town and I was like in the local part of town. And so when you go to the kind of local neighborhoods in Vietnam, you realize that a lot of people don't speak English. And that was kind of hard because I don't speak Vietnamese. Nowhere close. I would go to like this like ba mein, sandwich shop. I wanted to talk because it's like she obviously like recognized me because I go there every week. But like I don't know what to say. I'm not gonna learn Vietnamese. So there was kind of like a disappointment in meeting local people a lot of times because like the effort, I realized, man, it's gonna take so much. It would be totally different. Like if I was willing to learn Vietnamese or learn Thai or learn Korean even, that I would be meeting a lot more people. Problem is, my mind is way more concerned with like helping you guys than just meeting Korean people. So honestly, the travel part, as fun as it is, I'm just not in the mindset to do it right now. I'm realizing. But like I said, I don't have a visa for Japan. Honestly, what I need to do is just be in Japan for a few months and just really, I don't know, go to work. I want to do workshops. I want to travel around Japan and kind of do like speaking events if I can. All of that just takes time and coordination, but it takes a lot of time actually, and I have to actually be in Japan. Like I said, the visa is only 3 months, so it just kind of becomes like ugh, I wish I had a visa. If I had a visa, I'd go to Japan for the next 6 months and just kind of really help as many people as I can. So the traveling's been fun, But I'm just gonna have to save that for maybe next year or 2 years from now. So yeah, yeah. Just what is the first step for that kind of people? Less confidence, yeah. And so the less confidence about speaking English, then that's why you should come to the seminar this Sunday, because it's not really about confidence in the sense that, like, if you know you can say something, you just say it. So when I do meet Korean people, for example, what I say is this: 한국 사람이죠? 무슨 말인지 하나도 몰라요. Sounded amazing, right? And they all freak out when I say it. They're just like, whoa, your Korean's amazing. But guess what? That's literally the only thing I can say. Literally. 감사합니다 and 안녕하세요. Like, that's it. Like, I know 4 things. That is it. Yeah, well, I mean, so Japan, but だってさ、日本語喋れるから楽だよ。日本の方。ね。韓国来るともうちんぷんかんぷんすぎて、もう韓国語興味ないし、ね。正直に。So it's just, anyway, sorry, kind of like releasing some frustration there, because it's like I really do want to talk to people, and if I was interested in Korean, it would be a totally different story. I would be making local friends a lot more easier, I think, but the lack of interest is kind of just like the big excuse, basically. So, yeah, and the thing about Japan is, I don't know. I just knew when I was in high school, I wanted to go to Japan. That's a whole long story. I had friends growing up in America, in California, and they, I don't know, like anime, Super Famicom, like just there's little things that they were kind of like, this culture is interesting. And so basically, I became curious in Japanese culture. I was like, I want to speak Japanese, right? And so, once you start doing something, then you get into it, then you become knowledgeable, then you, like, I don't know, you get a momentum, right? And so, yeah, it's just basically right now there's unfinished business that I have with the people of Japan, in a good way, because I want to get out there and, really help as many people as I can, which is why I'm doing YouTube. It's just hopefully, why, millions of people are watching my videos, is because hopefully I'm saying something useful to somebody. I want to be useful to somebody on this planet. And like, I understand life a little more. It's just, you don't have to help everybody on the planet. You just have to be, helpful to a certain group of people. Like a baseball coach helps young kids learn baseball. He's doing a good thing, right? He's doing a good thing for society. He's a good person by helping the kids, right? And in the same way, like, it's like, how many people are frustrated when they learn English, right? In Japan, right? And if you guys know it or you don't know it, but Japan ranks pretty low in English ability, compared to other countries around the world, compared to other countries in Asia. And there's no reason why that should be the case. It's definitely not genetic, which means it's 100% thinking. It's 100% attitude. Especially with the internet, there is no excuse. Anybody that wants to learn English can learn English in 10 months, guaranteed. 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 There is no excuse. You have every tool, you have every movie that's ever been made, you have every TV show on YouTube, basically. You have 1,000 different English schools. You have 1,000 different YouTubers teaching English. There is zero reason why everybody in Japan should not be bilingual. Did I say that right? Sometimes I get confused by my own English. There is no reason for not being bilingual, right? But it's like, well, I don't have yeah. And so the only problem is the English education system absolutely doesn't know what they're doing. The English classes in junior high school and high school are fundamentally flawed. And I could talk about that in another conversation, but it's literally like science. And I don't want to get into the whole audio visual thing, but like, The school system literally needs to change. I'm not gonna. I mean, it's a plan, but basically one day I might need to open some sort of like after school juku, eikawa juku, for kids basically because anybody could do it. And if the schools aren't going to provide the way, then I'll provide the way. You know what I mean? Because literally anybody can do it. And if you just get it sooner than later, you know what I mean? Like adults get kind of like hard-headed, like, oh, I can't do it. But kids, they don't get hard-headed. They just start mimicking what they hear. And if you start interacting with kids in English, they start interacting back. There's no filter with kids, I think, so they're able to kind of get it a lot quicker than adults. But even adults, if they just deprogram, if they just forget everything they know, they can learn English too. They just have to literally do the things that will actually get them there, as opposed to the things that don't get them there, like books, going to school, for all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm so sorry for Japanese kids not reaching their learning, but they do though. That's the thing, that with the internet connection, there is a rich environment. There is access to English 24/7, all day, every single day. Literally everything you do on an iPhone can be done in English. So it's just a matter of the parents not realizing how to teach their kids. Maybe I need to make a course to teach parents how to teach their kids how to speak English, right? So anyway, English apes, yeah. And so, so then there's another issue too about like the foreign friends in Japan, right? And I'm going to talk about this on Sunday. But when you meet foreigners, English speakers for the first time, it's really important to do a check, like if they speak Japanese or not. Because if they do speak Japanese, then just speak Japanese. But if they don't speak Japanese, which would be obvious as soon as they open their mouth because you understand their accent, なんか片言の片言で喋る外国人あんまり聞いたことないんだけどThe few times that I've heard a foreigner speaking Japanese, I was like, what? Like I've met a lot of foreigners that speak Japanese better than me, right? A ton. But every once in a while, I hear a foreigner speak Japanese. I'm like, whoa, time out, bro. What did you just say? Because I cannot understand you. I'm not used to. There's a guy on TV. I don't know his name, but he was on the TV show with Mone-san, and he's like British. And like I heard his Japanese, and I was like, whoa, dude, I don't understand what you're saying. ごめん. Because his accent was so thick. His British accent was so thick that I could not understand his Japanese. I'm not used to it. Sorry, just don't. I'm not used to hearing foreigners speak Japanese with that bad of an accent. So, yeah, in the case of foreigners that, speak English or Japanese, ちょっと空気読んで. If they speak Japanese better than your English, just speak in Japanese, right? But if it's obvious that they don't really speak Japanese, maybe you can help them with the Japanese, or maybe you switch over to English, either or. But that's, it's a one-on-one basis, right? And just because like, この外国人の日本語うまいね。じゃあ日本語で話しましょうか。いいよ。じゃあとりあえず外国人の友達作って、日本語で話しても全然大丈夫ですね。で、また今度、日本語できない外国人と話してください。Yeah. Because one of the things that I want to teach you guys, and I'll teach this Sunday, is that you create a system for meeting not just one person, but many people over the course of the next few weeks, right? So it is beneficial to meet just one person, 間違いない. But what if you could make 5 friends or 10 friends, right? Wouldn't that be much better? I mean, I was living in Shimokitazawa. I was doing music, so I was always meeting Japanese people. But I remember one of the people that I played a show with, she was like, "Hey, my boyfriend plays drums. He wants to meet you." I was like, "Oh, cool. Maybe we'll jam together or something." And he was like, "Hey, you want to play basketball? You're tall." And so, like, yeah, I'll play basketball. And I went to play basketball, and I met all his friends. It's amazing how one person, just kind of introduces you to many people, right? So anyway, a lot of chat going on. I appreciate it, guys, for chatting it up. Japanese is a minor language, and so なんで日本語難しい。日本語難しくないんだよね。いうえを書きく傾向って発音的に音に関して、難しくないよね。漢字は書いたり読んだりね、それは難しいんやけど、話すことは難しくない。機会があるかどうかわかんないけど、機会があれば日本語を、なんていう、話すことに関しては難しくない。話す相手がいたらね。It's just sound, right? It's just, again, the opportunity to speak Japanese is the issue, right? And so basically not a lot of people speak Japanese. Like, for example, if you go to Vietnam, there's not a lot of people that are going to speak Japanese to you. So it's like, well, you might as well speak English, right? So the international language kind of seems to be English, just from my general experience. So yeah, I don't hear Japanese at all. Let's just put it like that. Unless it's Japanese people talking, right? So it is a minor language in that aspect. In terms of learning the language itself, it's easy, given that you have the opportunity to talk to somebody that actually speaks Japanese. So, 機械ですね。はい、すみません。minor language, Japanese culture. Well, yeah, and so that's the other thing, and hopefully I'll talk about it this Sunday, but becoming a helper, offering value to people that don't know, basically. And yeah, there's going to be two types of foreigners. There's the ones that are total Japan nerds, and then there's going to be ones that are just visiting, right? And so だからちょっと空気読んで、ちょっと you kind of like measure the situation, read the air, as they say, and like, これは日本語できる外国人だからいろいろ詳しくない? Like, he might know things about Japan that you don't know about, you know what I mean? So, have a conversation, get to know people, and that is what I'm kind of talking about. So, 片言外国人と聞いたことないね。はいね。あんまり、言えるかな。いるけどね。But again, like, it's different from me because, like, there was only a few real times that I talked to, like, foreigners in Japanese. One of the times I remember was this Russian model. She didn't really speak English because she's Russian. And so she was kind of cold. But then as soon as I started speaking Japanese, she got all happy because we can communicate, right? So, again, meeting people. Like, I've talked to thousands of people in my life. So, you come up with one story, I can come up with a counterexample, If you've met one friendly Russian, a lot of people say like Russians are cold, for example, but like, I don't know, the ones I met have been really funny and, so it's like, you can make generalizations all day long. There's going to be a counterexample guaranteed somewhere. So, try not to judge a book by its cover, as we say, and actually have a conversation with somebody before you start making judgments. Even then, you have like your little things in your head that kind of like, generally speaking, Japanese people are shy, blah, blah, blah. Generally speaking, Americans, yes, are more open for having small talk, for example, right? So it's a good thing, these are things to know. But, generally speaking, I notice Koreans rush to empty chairs in a Starbucks. Just saying. They like run to the empty seat. They like set it aside or whatever. So, anyway, we can't choose, but that's true. As a Japanese, proud of Japanese, and they use the sound. Can't explain well. I just feel American. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know why I was interested in Japan and learning Japanese, but it was just something that I wanted to do. And I think that in America, there's a way more like freedom in terms of like you do you kind of thing. You can do what you want to do. You can study what you want to study. You can be who you want to be kind of thing. Whereas Japan is still a lot more focused on like, well, your role in society and your function within the group is still kind of more emphasized than in America. So for me to just go, hey, I'm just going to do something completely random, I had the ability to do it with nobody really told me not to, basically. But if you just say something random like, I'm going to move to Hawaii and start farming, you're probably going to get a lot of blowback from your friends or your relatives or people at your work or whatever. So, but that's just something you're going to have to deal with, because I think that we are transitioning as a human species to a more global international culture, and that there's going to be a 2.0 culture, and the 2.0 is all encompassing. It is definitely human, and cultural 1.0 issues like your hometown and your language and the kinds of food that you eat are part of your heritage, but it doesn't define you, because I really think that as a human we have the potential to become anything that we want, basically, and anything that we put our heritage is one thing, but not letting it define you is the other thing, and moving ahead to really being anything that you want, because like, for example, in our culture in America, you can become an American. Anybody can become an American. We say it on paper, and a lot of people actually believe it. Some people don't, and you know what, fuck those people. But the truth is, anybody can become an American, including you. You just have to like do it. But like, not anybody can become Japanese. It's just the difference. Big difference, but says a lot. So, one of the strategies in the world to communicate before is you want to go to Japan. Definitely one of them, because again, a lot of people just don't learn Japanese too. So, but it's more than just meeting people. It's also, business opportunities. It's yeah, anybody can become an American citizen for sure, but not only just American citizen, but like just even culturally, you can take on the values of like freedom, for example, the values of expressing yourself, also the values of creating your own business, for example. America, capitalism, right? So all these kind of things you can take on as your own, and you can become independent, as we say in America. You can literally become an American, but you can take on the culture of America. And if you start acting like an American and sounding like an American, people will just assume you're an American. So there's, basically no barrier other than your willingness just to go through the process of kind of changing your cultural identity. But anyway, I digress. Well, just technically, Japanese people will not, like, if I go to a restaurant, any restaurant, there's a high percentage that people will say like, "Oh, お箸上手ですね." And that is not really, I don't know. It's just indicative It's just a sign that embracing somebody as your own really is this complicated conversation for people like Japanese people accepting foreigners. I mean, just look at any hafu. You know, I saw a comment that was talking about Mizuhara Kiko is not Japanese, and I'm not even going to go into acceptance of somebody that was basically raised in Japan cannot be accepted as Japanese is kind of, it is what it is, but yeah, there is still a lot going on in Japanese culture that is very closed to foreigners. And, you know, you can be polite all day long, but really accepting somebody as your own is still an issue. But maybe it will change. Yeah, as your own. Like, for example, like if you come to America and you're like, yeah, I'm living here now, I feel part of the community. Americans, in my opinion, will be more likely to just take you in and be like, yeah, you're like one of us now. You know, you're an American, you're Californian, you're a local now, right? But if I go to Japan, I can go to it like I could be there for 20 years and I'll still get people, oh, 日本語上手ですね. Like, and it's just like you just never get treated normally. You're always treated as a guest. You know what I mean? People still like, 日本長いですか? Like, man, I've been here for 10 years. It's like, I get it, but that can change, and that's a whole other conversation. So, total, like, you know, like immigration policy conversation. Like, do we really want to talk about it? But for another live stream, huh? So, if you want to learn another thing, go for it. Yeah, totally. 日本語クローズしてる？日本文化クローズしてる？それ違うんじゃないかなって。Well, again, it's like, いらっしゃいませ, right? Welcome, right? But like, okay, how about this? So when you get, I remember, I don't know if it's still up, but I remember I got to Narita 空港に到着して、なんかまあ、飛行機から出て、あれ、橋があるんじゃない？なんていう、ジェットウェイっていうかわかんないけど、なんか看板があって、日本語で、なんか、お帰りなさいって書いてあるよね。でも、英語の方を読むと、Welcome back じゃなくて、Welcome to Japan って書いてあるね。その違いあるんじゃないですかね。I remember this because it's like, I speak Japanese. I know the nuance is a little different. So basically the attitude of welcoming foreigners as a guest, you know, is very kind. But welcoming foreigners as Japanese? あれはちょっと、どうですかね? But that's still another conversation for another day. Although I'm on the side of speaking and sitting in fun, I don't have any opinions. As your own, yeah. So the more so I feel necessary, I don't use it. Yeah. Okay. The 変な人。誰が変なの？まあ、anyway, I'm not totally following the chat. Yeah, Mickey, thanks for your contributions. And then Necoristo there. Thanks so much for your participation as well. I wanted, again, the title of today's little live stream was, you know, do you have any fears when approaching foreign people when you see them in town or see them in a cafe, or you want to make English speaking friends, but you're kind of afraid of something? So that's kind of like what I wanted to keep the conversation to. But as any conversation goes, basically, you want to talk about this, but everybody's talking about this. You know what I mean? Like you kind of got to go with the flow. And so we are going with the flow, definitely. And I've discovered different things to talk about because there are different things to talk about. Like, for example, yes, anybody could become an American, but this deeper conversation of can anybody become Japanese? It's like, ooh, well, now we're getting somewhere because there's differences in the way we think. But if we do change the way we think, we can all basically get along. We can all come together. We can all agree on where we want to go from here on out. But the older generation, okay, kind of not catching up with technology, kind of don't see the whole potential. Let's not even get started on AI. Whew. So anyway, there are many orders. You're going to dumb this chance to use it. That's right. So anyway, I'm going to end this now, guys, because I think that, 100 minutes is a long time. I think I'm just kind of like, whoa, I've been on this for 100 minutes. But anyway, so それを全部日本語で言ってくれたらいいのに。まあそうですよね。まあだからこの会話ってこれ英語を教えたいなっていう気持ちでこの、ライブストリームやってるんですけれども、それでまあ普通に英語で喋んないとね、もうこういうまあ英語って何みたいな英語の教育ってまずこれ英語の教育やからそうですね。ちょっと、まあ、発音っていうかわかんないけど、I'm trying to talk normally. That is the whole point. でも日本語で話すと、もう英語の教育になんないじゃない？これまあ文化、国際理解みたいな話になっちゃって、まあ日本語で話しても全然大丈夫ですけれども、それは英語の話題じゃなくて、それまあなんだろう、社会の話題になっちゃって、それはまた別の話ですね。とりあえず英語で喋りたくて、なんでかというと、まあこれは英語の教育の、チャンネルやからね。それでまあ、全部もう本当に理解してほしいんやけど、結局まあもし英語を喋れるようになりたい人だったら、まずこういうピュアなね、100% ピュアな英語を聞かないとね。で、こういうピュアな英語のきっかけじゃないきっかけだよね。チャンスあんまりないんじゃないですか。ね。それで、こう、ゆっくり話す英語の先生いっぱいいると思うんですけれども、それとも字幕がついてる。ね。俺が普通にこう英語でババババってして、こう字幕ついてるから、聞かないで字幕読んでも意味なくないって感じだからまあ、俺日本語できるかどうかっていう問題じゃなくて、だって 100% 理解してほしいんやけど、日本語で全然説明頑張っても意味なくないだってこう逆に英語の教育してるから、それで字幕つけても意味なくないだってif you don't understand what I'm saying in English, then it's your responsibility to understand what I'm saying. That's what it becomes like, hey, so what'd you say? Get a dictionary and like figure it out. And so I noticed there was, for example, I said one of our own, as one of our own, for example, that is you learning English. And that is exactly what needs to happen is I just need to talk normally. And then you ask questions. What do you mean? What's that mean? And that's how you start learning how to understand what I'm actually saying. So I think it was a good exercise because we do want to communicate. We do want to talk about like, well, what do you mean Japan doesn't accept foreigners as their own? And that's a good question to talk about. まあ日本語で話してもいいんだけど、I'm kind of trying to explain things in English. So, and that's the important of like why it's important to speak English because everybody in the world is speaking English and it's like, are you really going to join the world conversation by speaking Japanese? Or are you going to join the world conversation by speaking English, right? And it's like, okay, we got two mindsets. It's a two-way street. And as much as you can say like, well, there's so many people that don't learn Japanese, so I shouldn't learn English. It's like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to join the world or not? Because coming to Japan, I understand the importance of learning Japanese. I understand the importance of blending in with the local culture. I understand the importance of meeting local people, understanding what they're going through, empathizing, conversing with them, getting to know their story is super important. And there's nothing more frustrating than when I meet a foreigner that's lived in Japan who doesn't speak Japanese. I find it very offensive, to be honest, and disgusting. But, you know, that's just me. So yeah, so that's definitely one way in this two-way street, right? So anybody that wants to join the world conversation has got to get up to par with what's going on in English. And what's going on in English is normal conversations like the ones that we're having now, and at the speed that I'm having now. Everything that I'm saying now is like almost 100% normal English. If I'm having this intelligent conversation with any intelligent person around the world, this is exactly what I would be saying at the exact speed, almost. I mean, I think maybe there's an element of me kind of like performing because it is, we're on YouTube, right? But anyway, I digress. I'm talking normally for your benefit so that you get exposed to English as it actually exists, as it's spoken by actual people. That's the whole point. So, okay. Anyway. This is good. It's good practice. 日本語で言われたら日本語で返したいんだけど I kind of want to keep it in English, so I appreciate the comments there. But let's do this in English if possible. So all of this listening practice is good for you. And at the end of the day, no subtitles, no reading. If you really want to learn English, then you just literally got to like listen to what I'm saying, because you don't need to look at anything. All you got to do is listen to the sounds that are going in your ears, right? Because English, Japanese, it doesn't matter. It's an auditory experience. And so you got to listen. You got to listen. You got to listen. And you got to listen. That's it. Anytime you look, you're off course. Anytime you read, you're off course. Like, learning, reading, and writing is a reflection of the spoken language. But first and primarily, the language experience is an audio experience. So you got to get used to the audio experience of the language. And that's another fundamental thing that I wish I could be teaching at the junior high level, because once you get it in your head that there's two paths, right? And the audio path needs to happen first. The audio experience of English is the first thing, the primary experience. The secondary experience is the visual experience. Once you become bilingual, or once you become fluent, then it's like, oh, reading something equals the sound in your head, right? But the truth is they're not equal. They're not the same. Visual information and auditory information are like two different dimensions that only make sense in the human brain. I digress, really digressing. So, いっぱいまた機会があれば. Yeah, cool. I'm going to be doing the seminar this Sunday, so anybody that wants to kind of get out there and like do meet people, meet more people, then come to the seminar this Sunday. And yeah, I think I put it up there, but if you want to join my seminar this Sunday, first, download my app. Once you download my app, I will email you the link to the lesson that's happening this Sunday. All right. So I'm using a video for improving my listening skills as one way. Kai Senpai accent Japanese for sure. Thank you. And this is definitely part of the process. You got to be listening, got to be listening, got to be listening. You got to listen a lot. Then hopefully what happens is you've almost heard too much. Your brain gets too full of all the sounds that you say, and you start overflowing, and then you're like, okay, I got to actually start talking. I actually got to get out there and meet somebody. I actually got to open my mouth and just mimic the sounds that I'm listening to. That's all you got to do. And so listening is definitely important. Even like a baby from age 0 is listening and listening and listening for 1 year, 2 years. And then all of a sudden a baby starts talking. But it's like, wow, it's amazing that all of a sudden a baby starts talking. It's like, yeah, but the baby's been listening for 2 years now. 2 years of listening. And then finally the baby just starts talking, right? So basically, yes, listening super important, but we're all adults. We can kind of like multitask, if you will, and we can start speaking while we're listening. But the total secret to all of this is focusing on the sounds coming out of your mouth and kind of merging with the general consensus of what language is. And the general consensus of what language is Well, more or less, there's American English, British English, and Australian English, more or less. And you got to get up to speed with one of those major dialects. And then from there, once you get really into it, you can be like, oh man, there's East Coast, there's West Coast, there's Scottish, there's British, there's all these different kind of nuances and different flavors of it that you get exposed to as you get more used to it. But for the meantime, you got to get used to at least one of the major dialects. Once you get used to that dialect, then you realize there's more dialects, and I'll save that story for another day. One of the key things about life is crossing bridges when you get there. If you don't even realize the difference between American English or British English, well, let's start there before we start talk about the difference between Texas and Tennessee. You know what I mean? So, I digress so much. You guys are really inspiring me to keep talking because you're listening, and I'm more than happy to talk and give you value. But it's been an hour and 10 minutes, and it's almost 11 o'clock, and I have not eaten dinner yet. So this is where the live stream ends. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate the chat that you guys are giving me. And I'm going to be doing another live stream soon. Hopefully I'm going to be going to Japan next month, and I'm going to be doing the live seminar this Sunday. So if you guys want to check that out, please check it out this Sunday. And oh my gosh, no, I don't live in Mexico. I was in Mexico last year, and that means I am not pursuing my Spanish at all. No es bueno, no tengo tiempo porque estoy en, ¿cómo se dice? Corea, and no puedo hablar en Korea. Good night, Mickey. Thanks so much for your participation. And then Minnie, yeah, you're late to the show. Now that Minnie's here, the party's just started, right? Everybody, get out a drink. We're gonna talk to Minnie now. Just kidding, Minnie. Thanks for coming by, but man, Mexico City. That's a whole other story. Maybe I should have made the travel videos, because I was in Mexico City for 3 months. I was in Bangkok for a month. I was in Vietnam for 2 months. I have a lot of stories about a lot of different cultures, but none of it seems to really make sense right now. I didn't make any videos because I just didn't know how to put it all together, especially in a way that actually got viewed by anybody, if that makes any sense, because I am trying to make videos that people like and that people actually watch, right? And so if I make I remember I made a video in Kyoto, kind of like a game show where the two Japanese college kids would try to guess the accent. We had a blast making it. It was a super fun video to make, but nobody watched the video, only 5,000 people saw it. And you're 5,000 people, why are you crying? Well, I am used to millions of people seeing my videos, and it's okay, I want to make stuff that's popular, because if I make stuff that's popular, then people might actually start listening. And if they start listening, maybe they become curious about learning English. And if they become curious about English, I am actually interested in having a conversation with you, because I want to help you speak English just like a lot of people helped me speak Japanese. It's this whole circle of life kind of thing. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think that I have spoken enough. The battery is going to die on my computer. The battery is probably going to die on my phone. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your ears. I appreciate your consciousness. And I hope that I helped you. And if you haven't downloaded my app already, download it, because it's super awesome and it's going to help you guys with your studies. And that is my whole goal, is to help you guys have better lives by learning and speaking English. So anyway, take it easy. Good night. Have a good one. Sweet dreams. And I'll talk with you soon, okay? And I'm going to press a button here and see you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.